In getting started with SaberSim, you learned how to build winning lineups with our build, review, revise process. In this video, we'll cover how to set up alerts for and make changes to those lineups. Whether you need to react to some breaking news in late swap, update your teams for confirmed starting lineups, or you just changed your mind on a take you had when you first built, this video will show you how to do it. So now that our lineups are entered into DFS contests, we need to upload an entries file to SaberSim so that the optimizer knows what contest each lineup is actually in. And we can do this in just a couple clicks from the contest tab on SaberSim. Now, when you first load the contest tab, you'll probably see another tutorial plugged here. You can watch this whenever you have time, but I'll click don't show this again and click OK. And now you'll see this screen. To upload your entries file, click the green button in the upper left and then download the template file from the site. I'll show this for FanDuel as well in just a second. When you download that file, you can go ahead and just drag and drop that file into SaberSim, and you'll see all of the different contests that we've entered into here. Now let's repeat that process for FanDuel where it is slightly different. We'll go to the contest tab. Again, we're going to click upload entries. This time, download template file from FanDuel. On FanDuel, it's going to take you to the page on FanDuel where you can get this file. You'll click CSV edit and then download a CSV template. Then we can take that file back to FanDuel and upload it to SaberSim. Now, if you're editing your lineups before lock, you have two options for how you want to do. If you just want to make a few tweaks to some of your lineups, your best bet is probably to just edit them directly on the site you're playing. You can find the lineup you want to change, click edit lineup, and make any changes here to any particular players, maybe plugging in a different first baseman into this lineup. But once you've done that, if you've made any changes on the site you're playing on directly, you always want to make sure that you download a new entries file from the site and then re-upload that to SaberSim. You can do that anytime with this upload icon here by just finding the correct file and re-uploading to SaberSim. You want to make sure that you're staying in sync with the lineups that you have on the site and the lineups you have in SaberSim. Otherwise, you'll get errors when you try to late swap. Generally, though, if you're reacting to some kind of changing information, whether that's confirmed starting lineups or breaking news, and you want to rebuild your lineups entirely, then what you should do is create a new build and follow the build, review, revise process again. If you want to copy over any exposures, lineup rules, or projections from your old build, you can find that build in the upper main navigation here, right click it, and then clone that build, which will create a new workspace where you can start over, bringing over as you see the changes that we had made originally. Alternatively, you can create a brand new fresh build with the new build button here, which will start you back over with the SaberSim defaults. From a new build, all you would have to do is change one thing again to abide by the DraftKings rules and then build some lineups. Once these new lineups are built, and if necessary, your contest sims have run, the only difference at this point is how we actually get them into the contests. Now that we've registered for contests, it doesn't make sense to download a lineups file and go and upload those to contests. We're just going to use the entries file that we already uploaded to SaberSim. Now, there are a bunch of different ways to customize this process, and we have other videos breaking down all those options. But in this video, I'll show you the simplest way to make sure that the best lineup goes into each contest you're playing. To do this, you want to use autofill here. You want to make sure your method is set to unique rank. And I typically recommend using the scroll bar at the bottom to sort the prize pool from highest to lowest. From here, all you have to do is click Save to Contests. This is going to give you the best possible lineup in each entry you have while making sure that you're playing a unique lineup in every entry. Now, once that fill is complete, you'll see this green positive success message show up here in the upper right, and there'll be a button that turns green over here in the upper left that will allow you to download your new entries file. This is what you need. Now, one setting I think is very helpful here if you're on a desktop computer is in the settings menu in the upper right to have Open DFS Site on Download turned on. The sites can make it a little tricky to figure out what files need to be uploaded where. So if you have this toggle on, when you click this button to download your entries file, it will download the file to your computer and always take you to the right page on the site so you know where to upload it. From here, upload CSV and upload the file, and we'll see that all of our lineups just got uploaded. Let's quickly step through that process again for FanDuel. In this case, autofill. unique rank, and we'll want to make sure we're sorting prize pool from highest to lowest. I only have one contest on FanDuel, then save to contests. Then we download the entries file, which is going to take us to this page on FanDuel, where we once again use the CSV edit button and upload the entries file. Now let's talk about late swap when you are updating your lineups after lock has passed. Half the battle with late swap is information, knowing when you need to take action. Most players know how important late swap is in a sport like NBA, but in MLB, this is still a very important step to avoid out players and take advantage of updated information. SaberSim makes this as easy as possible with our alert system, which will send you a desktop notification when you have players that are out in your lineups. As long as you have SaberSim open in your browser, you'll see this notification if a player in your entries file is ruled out. These notifications are on by default, so you don't need to do anything. But if you want to check on these notifications, you can see them here with the notifications bell in the upper right, and then the settings menu here. You see by default, I will get notifications if a player is out or has a 0 projection here. You can also turn on additional notifications to be notified if a player's projection changes in a simulation by more than 20 or whatever percent of the original projection if you want. These final notifications here will just show up in the app if you're currently building to let you know projections have changed at all if they have. Now, these notifications will show up on your computer as long as you have SaberSim open, but there is an option to get mobile notifications as well if you would like. I'm not going to do a full breakdown of how to set that up in this video, but we do have a tutorial on this link here that are shown in the alert preferences menu, so you can check that out and get that set up on your phone. Now, our sims react very quickly to breaking news, updating our data based on who's in and who's out. Now, let's say you've gotten an alert. It's opening day, and suddenly, surprise, Paul Skeens is going to be out. Anytime you have an out player in your lineups, the first thing you should always do is quick swap with this lightning bolt here in the upper left. You'll see if we have a player that is out in your entries file, it will turn red here to make it very clear that this is what you need to do. When you click this here, you'll see this menu. What QuickSwap does is it puts the best possible player into any lineups with an out player and then gives you a new entries file to immediately upload to the site. For baseball specifically, if you have a pitcher that is out, I recommend just swapping it to the best available player. So we can go ahead here and click apply, and we'll see that SaberSim has added Kikuchi and Sale to as many lineups as it can here, getting Paul Skeens out. Then we can click the download entries button again and get this re-uploaded to DraftKings here. If instead you click this and you see that there is a hitter that has been ruled out, I typically tend to recommend people to swap to the best available hitter from the same team first, getting as many as you can that preserve any stacks that, for example, Juan Soto was in. And if there are still any remaining lineups that couldn't be swapped, you can then swap those to the best available player, then download again a fresh entries file and get that uploaded to the site. Getting a 0 in your lineup because you played an out player is like lighting money on fire. So even if you have plenty of time, you never know what might happen. So always quick swap first. After quick swapping, then you can run a late swap, which is essentially the same builds process, only this time you have some players locked into each lineup already if their game has started. You can initiate late swaps with the late swap button in the main navigation. And you don't really need to worry about the settings menu here, with the exception of potentially one settings, which is this one, labeled settings. This setting is mostly useful if you want to bring over your takes from your initial build. If you want to do that, for example, if I want to bring over the changes I made from my build 1, you'll want this to match that particular build. Doing this will bring over any salary settings as you see, exposures, lineup rules, or custom projections that you set in that particular build. I want you to be aware of that in case you want to bring those takes over, but the best practice, however, is to let this say default. You don't always know how updated information and updated sims are going to affect your initial takes and the best way to play the slate. And you can always spend time to re-review to make changes again after your swap. Letting the sims run your late swap on default here allows you to capitalize on the updated information, fine-tuning again after. So let's step through a late swap here. In this case, I'm going to leave that at default and I'm just going to click the late swap button, which will go ahead and get a late swap build started. Once your late swap build is complete, you'll have two different views you can look at here. By default, you'll likely see that it is grouped by contest with this toggle being on, which means all of your swaps will be grouped under their corresponding contest. If you don't want to see that, you can toggle that off and you'll just see your lineups in order of whatever you're sorting by. At this point, you should spend some time again to review to make sure you're happy with the swaps that were selected, but you should always be mindful of the time that you have. It's always better to get some swaps in that account for any changing information than to miss a swap window when there was an important scratch you should have accounted for. If you do want to make any changes here, whether it's locking swaps in or trashing particular swaps or changing exposures, after you make a change, for example, let's make a exposure change here to set skeins to 25%. All you do is click apply. After you're satisfied with the swaps that have been selected, the next step here is to once again save them to your entries file. You click save to contests here. You'll get a positive success message in the upper right, and you're ready to re-download and re-upload your fresh entries file. Now, one thing to note is the process is identical on FanDuel for the SaberSim side. It is slightly different on the FanDuel side. FanDuel differentiates your upcoming entries from your live entries. So if you click the download entries file button when you're on a FanDuel slate for a late swap, you're going to be directed to this live page. I don't currently have any live entries in progress, but you'll see a CSV edit button similar to the one on the upcoming tab, and you click that, and that's where you upload your file. It is possible to get errors when you're uploading a late swap entries file, whether you're uploading to DraftKings or FanDuel. If that happens, the best thing you can always do is re-upload a fresh entries file to SaberSim. Again, you can do that from the contest tab by clicking the upload entries button here, then re-downloading a fresh template file and reloading that into SaberSim. These errors are almost always caused by a disconnect between what the site has you playing and what SaberSim thinks you are playing, and a fresh entries file will always fix them. Now you've learned how to update your lineups that you have in DFS contests, whether it's before lock and you're updating to react to news or some changing information, or it's after lock and you're running quick swaps and late swaps to update for late scratches. At this point, you should practice uploading an entries file and updating the lineups that you have in your DFS contests, and be prepared to late swap on your next upcoming slate. Use the office hours live streams as well as our Discord server as an opportunity to ask any questions about things you're still unsure on. And when you're ready to go deeper into strategy, check out Saber School in the upper right of the SaberSim app for other strategy guides and tutorials. Thanks for watching, and good luck.